How's it going everyone, and welcome back to my Battlefield 3 weapon guides. This time round we're going to take a look at another weapon from the Engineer kit, this time the A-91, which is unlocked after you've acquired an Engineer score of 58,000. So in real life the A-91 is a Russian bullpup rifle, which means the magazine is situated behind the grip, and the weapon in real life actually has an integrated grenade launcher, but obviously this was omitted from the game. So first up, let's take a look at some general stats and features of the A-91 in Battlefield 3. So like most of the rifles, whether it's an assault rifle or carbine like the A-91 in Battlefield 3, the power is pretty high, needing between 4 and 6 shots to kill. One of the main downsides of the A-91 is the damage figure really drops off after 35 meters, leaving it with just a 17 damage figure, which is pretty low in comparison to the weapons in the Engineer category. One of the best features by far is definitely the recoil pattern of the A-91. The recoil overall is very low, which makes it a great weapon for just spraying bullets towards the bad guys, and it really does make it a lot easier to take out your long range targets in that you don't really have to burst fire quite as much. Capacity of the weapon is 31 rounds, that's the usual 30 round magazine plus one in the chamber, and the rate of fire is one of the higher figures of 800 rounds per minute, pretty much on par with the M4 or the M4A1. So the A-91 is definitely one of those popular weapons in the game. I think it's that low recoil that really entices people to use this weapon. Obviously in Battlefield 3 we've got lots of encounters at long range, and the weapons as a whole have got quite a lot of recoil, especially if you try holding down the trigger and sending down any prolonged fire. Unlike some of the other weapons, the A-91 doesn't have a 3-round burst mode, only semi-automatic and fully automatic. Despite having a relatively low recoil, it's definitely still worth switching over to semi-automatic mode for taking out any super long range targets, any snipers off in the distance, or if you see anyone hiding behind cover where you might need to get some super accurate shots. But all round, the A-91 is one of those great weapons that can be very versatile and match almost any playstyle, so you can either configure it with a silencer and go on a run and gun behind the lines mission, flanking the bad guys. You can use it as more of a long range weapon. Despite having that low damage figure at long range, the lower recoil can really help, especially if you equip one of the higher zoom scopes. Obviously some of the other weapons which have got a much higher recoil are much more difficult to use with a higher zoom scope, and the scope often bounces around all over the place, with the recoil being more pronounced. So let's finish off this guide with my recommendations for a configuration of your A-91 in Battlefield 3. So as always, we've got a range of optics to choose from, ranging from the plain old red dot sight right up to some high zoom infrared scopes and ACOG scopes. Being a Russian weapon, we unlock the Russian style scopes optics first of all. Like I mentioned, the A-91 can be quite suited to those higher zoom scopes or higher magnification scopes, in that it's got quite a low recoil. I can't say I'm much of a fan of the higher zoom scopes personally. I really don't find I can get very good games with them. They tend to sacrifice my close quarters ability a bit too much for my liking. So my preference goes with the PKAS, which is the Russian holographic sight. Not exactly sure why, but I do prefer this holographic sight over the plain old Cobra red dot sight. Don't know, it's just the reticle or the cylindrical style scope that you get with the Russian PKAS sight, but my recommendation for the optic goes with the PKAS, which you get after acquiring 60 kills. For the primary attachment, we've only got the choice of one accessory, which is the Foregrip, so you'd be silly not to choose it really. The Foregrip, when attached, decreases that recoil much more, which makes the weapon much more usable. The Foregrip in Battlefield 3 doesn't affect the vertical recoil of the weapon, but it does decrease the horizontal recoil when firing, which really does help tame your recoil overall. And finally, for the secondary accessory, we've got a few different choices, ranging from tactical accessories like the laser sight or tactical light, or we've got barrel related accessories like the suppressor, heavy barrel or flash suppressor. Items like the flash suppressor you don't get until you've acquired 200 kills, so you'd have to be using the weapon a fair while to actually unlock this. One of the earlier unlocks is the laser sight, which you get after 20 kills, which can be quite handy for those close quarters engagements. Just spraying from the hip with the laser sight can really be pretty useful. The suppressor can be a handy attachment if you're into that kind of sneaky flanking approach or game style. Although it's worth remembering that the suppressor reduces that overall range, and with the A-91 having that lower damage figure at the 35 meter plus mark, it will kind of inhibit your long range abilities even more. So my preference for the secondary attachment goes with the heavy barrel, which you acquire after 90 kills with the weapon. The heavy barrel increases your accuracy and range, but it comes at the cost of slightly increased recoil. But overall it does fit with the weapon's stats pretty well, and that the recoil's pretty low, so that increased recoil you get from the heavy barrel won't be that noticeable, but the increased accuracy and range really does fix that main downside of that lower damage figure at 35 meters plus. So it really does make the weapon more of an all-rounder in that it can be quite versatile up close in close and medium quarters battles, as well as being able to take out those long-range targets. So that's it for my review of the A-91 in Battlefield 3. If you enjoyed this episode or learned anything new, please drop me a thumbs up to help share it with others. If you want to stick around for more of these Battlefield 3 guides, be sure to subscribe so you'll be the first to check out the new episodes. If you want to chat about anything Battlefield 3 related, hook me up on Twitter at @SpoonerGaming. Drop me a comment down below if you want to share your configuration of the A-91, what recommendations you give for those accessories and attachments. So thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you all later.